Hey guys, and welcome to my March review. This month I did not read as many books as I was really hoping to, but that was because if you guys follow me on Instagram, or I think I posted on Twitter as well, me and my fiance actually took a trip to Dallas to Half Price Books. I have that vlog up on my channel now. I will link that video in the description. We took a trip to Dallas because that's where the flagship Half Price Books is. And that took up a bunch of our time. And then I also had some friends come over and stay. And then we also got a new puppy. So it was just like a ton of things happening. So I didn't have that much time to read towards the end of March. But towards the beginning of March, I did have some time to read. So I'm going to share with you what I read. So the first book I read and finished in March is one I've read before, which is Fever 1793 by Laura Hassel Anderson. You guys, I love this book. This was in my makeup tag as a book I feel like everybody should read. But, yeah, I read it in fourth or fifth grade, and I literally have just always remembered this book. I read it like 4 times in middle school, and then I just picked it up again and read it. I don't know what it is about this book. I just love it. It's about a girl named Maddie Cook, and she lives in Philadelphia during the yellow fever outbreak, and she has to deal with seeing some of her friends pass away from yellow fever. Just her whole world turn upside down. Like, things don't turn out the way she expected them to. Like, her mom gets sick, her grandpa, something happens with him, a bunch of her friends fall ill, people are trying to flee the city. And what I love about this book is, since I do believe they still use this in schools as they use this in schools still as like a historical fiction kind of retelling of what it would have been like. People they talk about in the appendix, they have like where George Washington was. They talk about burial grounds. So they give you all of this really interesting, in my mind, information in the back. They tell us about the people who are in it, like Dolly Payne Todd Madison, George Washington, Stephen Girard, Dr. Benjamin Rush. I don't know. I'm not really into historical fiction. Maybe now that I'm older, I should try another historical fiction, because like Fever just stuck with me. It was so good. I read it again. I still love it. So quick read. I love it. It was like $1 at Half Price Books. So good, guys. So the second book I read, I actually picked up in Dallas, and it is After by Anna Todd. I saw that Anna Todd became a Wattpad sensation. Well, that's what it says, like, on the cover. And I knew that Natasha Pearson, who I talk about, who writes all of like those really cool, like, kind of like, not tiny, but shorter thrillers I like to read. I knew she had been on Wattpad, and so I thought I would pick this book up. I read the back and I realized it was a contemporary, and I was like, sure, I'll try this contemporary. I read this in 2 days. And I don't go to Barnes & Noble ever, but we went to Barnes & Noble the next day and got After We Collide, because this is the first book, this is the second book, and I had to devour these. You guys, this is supposed to be like some One Direction fan fiction. The only thing I can understand possibly about how this is One Direction is like the main character, Hardin. His name starts with an H. He's got tattoos. He's from Britain. He's sort of a bad boy, and like, I guess he's got piercings. I don't even know if Harry Styles has piercing, but I just took it as a, romance, good girl meets bad girl kind of thing. I would definitely give this a shot. Now, this is not young adult. This isn't even new adult. Like, if I would classify this, this is romance mixed with some, like, minimal erotica, honestly. If I had to say this is a retelling of anything, it's almost like a softer version of 50 Shades of Grey. Like, controlling guy, and like timid girl, and there's like this struggle of power. Now, I do have to say, if you are very sensitive, or, you know, just you're not okay with like asshole guys and like, I hate to say it, but almost kind of like verbal abuse in relationships, I wouldn't read this. I understood why she had to make the main character like this. I don't agree with how the Hardin, the main male character, acts. I don't condone anything he does. I do understand it's about showing progression in like his character growing. But if you at all don't like that, don't read these books. I am completely fine with reading it because, I don't know. First of all, I know it's fiction. And second of all, I've been in situations like this before, and I know who I am. And like, I'm sorry if this is getting too deep, but I mean, I know who I am, and I know how I would treat it. I understand that it's completely unacceptable, and it is a work of fiction. So it does have a problematic storyline. Their relationship is not super healthy. I kind of appreciate the fact that she just went balls to the wall, like unhealthy relationship, trying to show it and trying to show how some women work through that, because unfortunately some women do stay in unhealthy relationships and try and work through it. But again, getting off all of that, it's a work of fiction. I really did enjoy reading it. So if you can like look past the problematic issues in their relationship, I would definitely recommend it. So this was my second read of March, and this was my third read of March. Okay, so I finally, oh, sorry, that's my cat. So I finally was able to finish the second book in the Parasitology series by Mira Grant. This is a science fiction book, and this book had second book syndrome so badly. It took me about a month and a half to finish. Sorry guys, if the camera readjusted just then, it's because Pepper ran through my tripod. That's my cat. But yeah, it suffered from second book syndrome. I still love Mira Grant. I'm still gonna read this, the last and final book in the trilogy, but I just really couldn't, like, oh my gosh, hold on one second. I figured since she was kicking the tripod around, you guys should see the cuteness that is messing up the video. This is Pepper. You say hi, Peps? Okay, we're done with like kitten breaks. Anyway, again, it suffered from second book syndrome. In my opinion, that does not mean it was not good. There were just some things that were a bit repetitive. I really do like with her books though, like the fact that the main character, Sal, grows so much. Like, the Sal in this book at the end is nowhere near the Sal that is at the end of the first book. So her character growth is amazing. So anyway, I'm not going to tell you guys what goes on in this. I don't like when people spoil books. Neither does my fiance. He just let me know that. But what can I say? It's a really good book still. I have really high hopes for the third book, which is called Chimera. I'm probably going to take a break from this series for a little bit just because I'm not like ravenously wanting to devour the third book. So I want to kind of wait and let my brain clear from this whole kind of second book syndrome-y thing. But I will definitely continue to read and finish this trilogy. So yes, this was my fourth read. Okay, and my last book, which I actually think was in between my third and fourth reading wise, none of these are really in particular order, but was Violent Ends by 17 different people, and I will read you who all contributed. This book was written by Sean David Hutchinson, Neal Shusterman, Brenda Shusterman, Beth Reeves, Cynthia Leach Smith, Courtney Summers, Kendar Blake, Delilah S. Dawson, Stephen Bursnoff, Tom Levin, Hannah Moskowitz, Blythe Woolston, Trish Duller, Mindy Scott, Margie Glebwasser, Christine Johnson, E.M. Koki, and Eliza Nader. You guys, I have never thought that reading 17 authors creating one book would be so amazing. This book was such a satisfying, traumatizing, uplifting, and just eye-opening book. I mean, for all of you who have probably read Violent Ends and I'm just late to the party, oh my gosh. This book is, I have no words, honestly. This book is basically about, and not about, a school shooting. It doesn't go through the graphic gore of minute by minute what happened in the school shooting, which I think was just fantastic. A great way of like taking on a school shooting. It's about before the shooting happened, during the shooting happening, after the shooting happening, from everybody's perspective but the shooter. And I just can't even explain how much this book took me through a roller coaster of emotions. I cried almost every chapter. I felt for the shooter. I felt for the victims. I understood just so many things before that I actually kind of didn't understand about how a situation becomes so volatile. And I mean, by no means am I saying what he did was right, Kirby, which is the main shooter, but I feel for the younger him, the him where we see him constantly trying and trying and trying and trying to pull himself out of this place or pull other people out of a dark place. But what's also so fascinating about this book is they don't wrap anything up. They don't tell us why Kirby did it. They don't give us a justification for the horrible act. This book leaves us questioning, just like shootings on the news leave us questioning. And I thought that was just so incredibly interesting and intriguing. And, you know, there's something about this that I will read this book again. I will read this book again, and I will encourage anybody to read this book. I got it off Book Outlet, and I honestly just can't even believe that I picked up such a good find. I know I'm just rambling about it, but you guys, I don't find books that really hit my heart and stay there. I read this very beginning of March, and I'm still like wanting to well up with tears. It's just so poignant. And the cool thing that I thought was really interesting, there's a chapter, and I believe it's written by Neal and Brenda Shusterman, which is like a bonus because they're like one of my favorite couples. There is a chapter that actually is the gun talking. The gun used in the shooting is talking. And it's talking about like being transferred from hand to hand. It's talking about being like wanting to be used but not wanting to be used, and wanting to help its owner but understanding it's wrong, and just mind-blowingly fascinating. I feel like this is a book everyone should pick up and read. Now, I do want to give some warnings. There is just extreme parental abuse in, like, I think a couple of these chapters. There is also triggers for suicidal thoughts, and I'm trying to think of what else. Obviously bullying and just kind of violence in general. So if those are things that you're not really into, or they bother you, or they trigger you, I'm just wanting to let you know those are in this book. And they are intense, and they are, you know, they're necessary, but if you don't want to pick it up because of that, I completely understand. So anyway, Violet End. Thank you guys so much for listening to my ramble on that. I had such a good March. It was amazing. We got a new member of our family. We took a trip. I got to hang out with friends. I read 5 books, which is not as many as I read in January or in February, but I am still so completely happy. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel, to continue talking with me in the comments, to just everybody who likes my content. There's going to be so much more coming up, so many exciting things happening. A couple more bookish trips are in the planning stages. So if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You guys really make all of this worthwhile. I've met so many cool people, and just thank you so much. So until the next video, bye!